Hey everyone, my name is Jeff Bunka, and I'm an engineering mentor and drive coach for Team 5895 Petty Robotics. Today we're going to be analyzing Elimination Match 8 from the first Mid-Atlantic Mount Olive District event, which happened this past weekend. Match 8 between two alliances, obviously Alliance 2 and Alliance 6. And what's interesting about this match is something that I'd like to really highlight in this segment is this is an excellent example of Alliance 2 diversifying their offensive efforts and spreading their team out. What's great about this is it's somewhat of a maybe subtly applied version of an offensive scheme for the REEFSCAPE game. And what it does is it plays to the alliance members' strengths. So each one of the robots on their team has a very strong suit to them, which is somewhat different from each other. And it not only makes it hard for a single robot to defend them because the different alliance members are spread out doing specific things, but it also reduces the possibility of creating traffic amongst themselves, which can be almost as detrimental as good defense. Let's check it out. Match number 8, elimination match number 8 from Mount Olive FMA District. So we have on the red side of the field, Alliance number 2, captained by 9015 Questionable Engineering, representing Jersey City, New Jersey. QE is a Coral robot with a standard human player feed setup, but a very robust execution. Their first pick was 103, the Cybersonics out of Kintnersville, Pennsylvania. Cybersonics, they can do algae. They can also do corals if they need to, but algae seems to be the skill set that they've really put most of their resources in, at least for this first event. And then finally, you have 3340, the Union City Magna Geeks out of Union City, New Jersey. 3340 has an Everybot iteration. They have a deep climb. They have L1 scoring, but I believe they were specifically drafted to Alliance 2, particularly for their end game and defensive capabilities. And then on the blue side of the field, you have Alliance 6. Alliance 6 captained by 4653 Ironman Robotics out of Ramsey, New Jersey. Their first pick, 223 Extreme Heat out of Wannock, New Jersey. And then rounding out Alliance 6, you have 193 Mort Beta, one of the home or host teams from Flanders, New Jersey. All right, so let's look at this match here. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the end of the autonomous period. So what we can point out here, red is actually up by 10 points, which is helpful for them, obviously, in securing the win. But I'd also like to point out the positioning of the Red Alliance. So coming out of autonomous, 9015 is positioned on the left half of the reef. They're queued up to immediately begin coral cycling, which is what they're going to focus on this match. Inversely, you have 103, the Cybersonics, that is centered on the far side of the reef. And what's interesting about that is because they're going to be focusing so highly on algae scoring in the barge, being as close to the barge as possible with an algae right there within their grasp is going to set them up for a very quick, immediate cycle once their drivers get on the controls. Okay, let's scrub ahead to roughly a minute 54 seconds left in the match. And let's look at Alliance 2's layout again. Okay, so now the three Alliance members of Alliance 2 have a more fortified positioning. They've kind of settled into their roles as the match has progressed to just under 2 minutes left here. You have 3340, the Magna Geeks. They've pushed across the field, and they're going to be spending most of the match locking up one of the human player coral stations, which is going to cut the opponent's coral access in half effectively. You have 103 again. They're staying on the red side of the field. Cybersonics are going to be clearing out algae in this section of the match from the left half of the reef. And then 9015 Questionable Engineering is cycling coral on the right half of the reef. So both robots are doing work to better their alliance's score on the same reef, obviously, but they've designated which halves of the reef they're focusing on to try and spread themselves out, makes themselves harder to defend, and reduce traffic amongst themselves internal to the alliance. We'll push forward to minute 15 left in play here, and you can see the Red Alliance has now flipped their offensive zones in terms of the home zone assignments. So before, you had 103 on the left half of the reef. Now you can see the Cybersonics are clearing algae and doing algae work, pulling from the right half of the reef. So they've cleared out all the algae on the left side of the reef, and they've moved over to the right side of the reef. Now, inversely, to keep reducing traffic and spreading themselves out, questionable engineering is recognizing that 103 needs to move over to the right half of the reef, so they're going to now shift focus for their coral scoring cycles over to the left half. So now, 103 started on the right, moved to the, or I'm sorry, 103 started on the left, moved to the right. 9015 started on the right, moved to the left. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump forward to 53 seconds left in play here. I'm going to go ahead and pause. What I want to point out is that the only algae left on the red side of the field are the three left on the floor, or I should say that started on the floor in that lollipop configuration. So what's cool about this is QE, Questionable Engineering Team 9015, is going to recognize that they have a very quick opportunity to boost the efficiency of their teammates, Team 103, who's focusing on those algae. So as they come in to load an additional coral from their coral station human player, they're going to actually perform a bank shot, kind of hip checking one of those algae around the curve or the seam of the field perimeter and along the driver's station wall. And what ends up happening is that ricochets the algae from that general area into a more favorable position, so that 103 has a much simpler time acquiring those algae now, instead of having to go as deeply into the corner. And that's going to boost 103's cycle time efficiency. It's also going to reduce the potential hazards associated with driving near floor algae when you're trying to load. All right, and finally, let's move forward to 27 seconds left in play here. So we're getting close to the end game period. And you can see that now all of the algae have been cleared from the red half of the field, and 103 is going to use the versatility of their robot and automatically, without skipping a beat, shifts into contributing to the coral scoring effort. They start coral cycling as well on the reef. So they're doing everything they can to not leave any points on the board, which is essentially the core focus to winning these matches later in the elimination bracket. So eventually 3340 will come back and attempt a deep climb, which is what their primary focus was for this team, while the other two robots will scoot in for a quick double park bonus to just boost their score a little bit further. So final score of this match would be 120 to 138, with 32% of the overall score coming from a heavy effort to score algae into the barge, thanks to 103 on the Red Alliance. So the Red Alliance did it all right here. They diversified their approach to offense, which let them spread their efforts out for maximum efficiency, and ultimately would propel them to a finals appearance at the Mount Olive District this year in 2025. All right, well, that's the analysis of Match 8 at the elimination rounds for first Mid-Atlantic Mount Olive District event this past weekend. Stay tuned to Fun for more content just like this. Make sure to comment below on anything you noticed that I might have missed from this match. And if there are any other matches you'd like to see analyzed, make sure to drop us a line. I'm Jeff with Fun Robotics Network and Team 5895. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.